With Ken, we're going over the inspection report here, and we'll get a copy of this emailed to you. So basically, the first couple pages of the inspection just go over what his scope of practice is and what the state of Texas requires from his license, and then the next pages will go over the actual structural components. So let Ken take it away from here.
First thing we address is the foundation. It is a slab foundation. I don't see any signs of movement outside the normal range of expansion and contraction. Everything looks good as far as the function of doors and windows. The framing in the attic looks good. So we don't have any indications of any type of slab or any other structural issues. So I'm not concerned there. Grading and drainage, there are some gutters in place. This is what we would consider a low slope area. We did get some rain last night, and I do see where everything is drained away. There's no water ponding around the house, and there's no low areas which would be subject to flooding issues. So I don't have any issues there. Roof covering, when you get on the roof and look at it, it's a combination of both composition shingles and then roll roofing over the back porch. All the flashings are in place. The shingles are in good condition. No excessive loss of granule anywhere, which would be an indication of an older roof that's nearing the end of its lifespan. So I don't have any issues with the roof covering. There were no signs or indications of leaks in the attic or inside on the ceilings. Roof structure and attic, this is going to cover the attic framing as well as the overhangs, the soffit and fascia, which is your overhangs, are all in place and tight. The attic is ventilated through a combination of both soffit vents and passive roof vents. We do have adequate ventilation through the attic system. The attic stairway is in place in the garage. I was able to enter the attic to do the inspection. Blown and batted fiberglass insulation is in place. On average, in all the flat areas, it's 7 to 9 inches thick, and then in the vertical areas, it's 3 to 5, so that does meet what we would consider adequate standards. The framing is conventional, meaning it was built on site, and the decking is plywood. I don't have any issues with the overhangs. Everything is in place and tight. It looks like everything has been recently painted and cleaned up, so everything looks good there. Exterior walls, we have a combination of brick with masonite siding. The siding is in very good condition. I don't have any issues with the exterior. The only place we have a little bit of issue, and it's extremely minor, I'm getting pretty picky, in the garage door casing on the right side, the very bottom of the brick mold has broken off at one of the finger joints in the trim. So it should be extended down to within about a 1/4 of an inch of the concrete. If that doesn't get replaced because of the slope of the concrete on the garage floor, it's not an issue where water is going to back up into the wall. So that one's pretty minor. Interior walls, sheetrock walls are in place. There is some peeling paint on the walls inside the garage. The interior walls inside the heated and cooled space of the house all look fine. We just have that peeling on the garage walls in a few areas. Same thing with the ceilings and floors. In the garage, we have some falling acoustic. The reason we're seeing that acoustic and peeling paint in the garage is because it's not a heated and cooled area, so there's more expansion and contraction, and then that mud in the drywall starts to get brittle over time, and it peels a little bit due to the humidity changes and that expansion. All of that is cosmetic, and I don't have any major concerns as to whether or not that does or does not get addressed. That's strictly your preference. Exterior doors, combination of both wood and metal doors are in place. All the doors on the house open and close, lock and latch correctly. I don't have any issues there. The seals on the overhead garage door are rotten, and there's parts of them missing, so those garage door seals should be replaced. Windows, thermal pane windows are in place. 2 of the screens are missing on the back side of the house. We do have what we refer to as a voided window pane in the master bathroom. A voided window pane occurs when the seal between the 2 panes of glass breaks and air migrates inside those panes. And what happens is it condensates and then it starts to fog up the window. It's very hard to see on that window because that is already obscured glass. It doesn't affect the performance of the window. Again, it'll just start to look hazy and dirty over time. The repair for that is to simply replace the glass. They don't have to change out the frame or tear anything out of the wall. They just change the glass out. No stairway is present. Everything looks good with the fireplace. It does have a circulation fan in the firebox. It is working correctly. The damper is opening and closing. We do have a chimney cap and screen in place on top of the chimney. No attached carport or deck are present, and no other built-in structural features. Electrical service to the house is buried underground. The main panel's on the exterior. There is a 100 amp main breaker in place, Everything is protected through breakers. There's no fuses. The only issue with the breaker box is that not all the breakers are labeled. About 80% of them are, but there's a few that should be labeled, so we like to see those marked before you get in the house and everything's set up. That's simply so if you need to service something or if you have any emergencies, you can quickly get to those breakers, identify them, and turn that off. Interior wiring is all copper. 3-prong plugs are in place throughout the house. They have added some GFCI plugs, which are the plugs with the reset buttons on them. When the house was originally built, they were not required. When they did updating to this house, they installed them in the bathrooms as well as in the kitchen. In the kitchen, they only installed them at the 2 plugs next to the sink. The old code was within 6 feet of a water source, so a lot of the remodel people still do it next to the sinks only. We do recommend all countertop plugs be GFCI protected. The plugs in the garage and the plugs on the exterior porches are not GFCI protected. Those are also recommended to be improved. Smoke detectors are not in all the recommended locations. By today's building code, we want to see them in the bedrooms as well as in the hall adjoining the bedrooms. There is one in the hallway. We would like to see them installed in the bedrooms as well. There is one in the garage. It is not working at this time. The electrical connection for the cooktop in the cabinet below the cooktop should be in a closed junction box. They have the wires tied together, but they should be covered.
So there just needs to be a junction box put right there and wire nuts attached. So again, the biggest thing, you just don't want to have pots and pans down there and accidentally yank those apart.
Heating and cooling system, it is a central forced air gas furnace. The date on the furnace in the garage is 1986. It is an older furnace. Furnaces typically do last considerably longer than the outside AC units. It is functioning correctly at this time. At the thermostat inside, there's a little battery tray that goes in the right side of the thermostat. That battery tray is missing. The thermostat does still function when it's hardwired. What the battery tray does is remembers time and settings. It's optional, but I went ahead and put that in there because it is missing. At the outside unit, there's a safety switch that goes inside of the blower unit door. That safety switch's function is to prevent that blower motor from coming on if somebody is working on the equipment. It is broken and it's been bypassed. Again, that does not affect the function of the furnace as a end user or as a homeowner, but that safety switch is not present for the service techs. On the AC side, the outside unit is dated 2009, so it's 11 years old. It was cooling the air 20 degrees, which is on the high side of what we expect to see, so it is performing correctly. It's a 3-ton unit. It is properly sized for the house. The only issue is the large copper line at the outside unit should have foam insulation on it. That foam insulation breaks down with time due to weather. Animals chew on it, weed eaters tear it up, so we would like to see that re-insulated. Without the insulation in place, the unit is less efficient and it has to work harder. So that will be a regular service item. The filter is located in the bottom of the unit, which is again in the garage closet. It is a clean disposable filter. All the ductwork is in the attic. We were getting an even temperature distribution throughout the house, so I don't have any issues with the ductwork. The water meter is located in the southwest corner of the lot, which is going to be the front left corner of the lot. Because of the age of the house, there's not a separate disconnect valve in place behind it. The water pressure on the house is between 65 and 70 pounds. We're looking for a range of 40 to 80, so it is correct. There are no backflow preventers on the exterior faucets because of the age of the house. Backflow preventers are check valves that go on the exterior faucets. And what they do is they prevent water from flowing backwards into the house. If you were using a liquid fertilizer spreader, it would not allow any of that chemical to leach back into the line. Those run about $6. You can get them at any hardware store, so we do recommend them if you're using garden hoses for any type of chemical applications. The faucet on the back of the house has got a slight drip at it. They put a T on that line. They probably were running a water line to a fountain or something else in the backyard, which is no longer in place. And when they capped that T, the fitting is dripping, so that needs to be sealed back off. All the fixtures inside the house are functioning correctly. Hot and cold are properly oriented at all the sinks, and there was not any diminished water pressure with 2 fixtures running. On the drain side, traps are in place under all the sinks. I did run the Showers in both bathrooms for about 30 minutes together. There was no water backing up. There's no leaks at any of the traps anywhere, so I don't have any issues with the drains. The water heater is located in the garage closet. It is a 50-gallon gas water heater. Everything is functioning correctly with the water heater. We do have some rust on the top of the unit as well as at the base of the unit. It's an old water heater. The gas valve on it is one of the older style gas valves, so I do believe it's nearing the end of its expected lifespan. I would not be shocked if within the next few years that water heater does not need to be replaced. No Whirlpool tub, no other built-in plumbing fixtures. Dishwasher ran a full cycle, heating element came on and dried correctly. There were no leaks in the supply, the drain, or the door seals. We are starting to see some rust on the racks. Of course, rust within the dishwasher is a health concern, so sealing up any of those spots where there's a little bit of rust is recommended. Yeah, on the front, and then on the bottom ones, there's some in the back. Yeah, it's just finished running. So you can buy replacement racks, but the racks cost about half the value of the dishwasher. So at that point, it may be money better spent just to buy a new dishwasher. No disposal is present. There is a switch and plug in place for it, so if you want to add a disposal, it is already set up for it. The vent fan is a recirculating vent fan, meaning it runs through the filter and blows back out within the kitchen itself. The cooktop and oven, all the cooktop burner elements are functioning correctly, and the oven is working in both bake and broil mode. No microwave oven is installed. We do have both vent fans and heaters present in both the bathrooms. They are working correctly. Garage door opener is in place. We do have a safety beam present, and it does reverse the door if you trip that safety beam. Dryer is vented through the attic to the exterior. No other built-in appliances. There is a 6-zone sprinkler system in place. The control box is located in the garage. When I tried to turn it on, none of the sprinkler heads or valves are responding to the control box. That needs to be looked at by a repair company to determine where the problem is.
Is it an older
It's a
sprinkler
very
box?
old, yeah.
Okay,
So it
so
could
not
be the box itself, the
Okay.
controller isn't working, could be a disconnected wire somewhere. I really couldn't tell you. Nothing is responding to it.
Okay.
No pool, did not look at the outbuilding. No water wells, no septic systems, and no optional systems. So the following page, of course, will be the summary. It just has the recommended repair items. As you move forward, if you have any questions, if we need to clarify anything, if any of those items spurs any questions for you, on the cover of the report is, of course, my phone number. You can always call me with any questions you have at any point in time.
Perfect. So Ken, as far as, obviously the majority of the repairs required are very minor, the sprinkler, the water
Yes.
heater, and some GFCIs. So structurally, everything you're
Yes.
confident.
I don't have any issues with the structure of the house. Foundation and roof look good. Again, the furnace is starting to get a little older. The water heater is a little older, but they are functioning correctly at this time. Several of the other things in the report are simply code changes, GFCIs, smoke detectors, lack of a carbon monoxide detector, things that we typically don't see on a house of this age. So
Perfect.
I have no major issues with what we're looking at here today.
Awesome. Thank you.